Have you ever wondered how an ancient human species survived 400,000 Ice Age winters without reliable fire? This seeming impossibility is now rewriting the entire narrative of human evolution. Join Historical Truth as we uncover the astonishing survival secrets of the Neanderthals, the Ice Age's ultimate technology masters we've severely underestimated. In the freezing Dordogne Valley, where temperatures could kill a modern human in just 3 hours, a Neanderthal mother 60,000 years ago expertly wraps her children in waterproofed animal hides. She has no matches, no lighter, and according to shocking new evidence, fire, that essential element, appears and vanishes unpredictably, sometimes absent for entire seasons. How could they conquer Earth's most brutal cold for 400,000 years without consistent fire technology? The answer lies in a revolutionary way of thinking we're only beginning to understand. Excavations at Roc de Marsal, France, revealed something mysterious. Tools, bones, living spaces, yet strange gaps in cultural layers containing not a single trace of charcoal, ash, or anything burnt for extended periods. These weren't abandoned campsites. Families lived here for months during brutal Ice Age winters, with fire disappearing exactly when they needed it most. This discovery shattered every old assumption about Neanderthal survival. Then, Bruniquel Cave changed everything. Deep 336 meters underground, in complete natural darkness, archaeologists found what left the scientific community stunned. Precise circular structures built from 400 broken stalagmites, weighing 2 tons total, dating back 176,500 years. They're older than any modern human structure by 140,000 years. Imagine, Neanderthals were building monuments before our species even existed. They were architects before architecture was born. But the real survival significance lies here. These underground chambers maintain constant temperatures year-round. When Earth's surface freezes deadly, deep caves stay around 55 degrees to 13. That's a massive temperature difference without burning a single piece of wood. They didn't just occupy caves, they renovated them. At La Ferracie, intentionally dug pits carved into sterile sediment layers were positioned exactly where body heat would accumulate and circulate. The consistent east-west orientation across sites hundreds of kilometers apart suggests shared architectural knowledge, a prehistoric building code passed down through generations. So, what did they do without caves? At Moldova, Ukraine, 44,000 years ago, Neanderthal builders erected a magnificent dome structure from 116 mammoth bones. Each bone was selected and arranged not randomly, but through sophisticated mathematical calculations to create sturdy structures that could withstand snow loads and storm damage. Nearly 5 decades of research at this site reveal they understood load distribution principles, center of gravity concepts, and the art of using natural materials to create true thermal fortresses. But the biggest breakthrough in our understanding lies in their fire technology. For decades, anthropology textbooks firmly stated, Neanderthals mastered fire 400,000 years ago. Case closed. But in 2018, French researchers analyzing 59 bifacial tools discovered a shocking truth. Reliable fire-making technology, striker light, only appeared in the last 50,000 years of Neanderthal history. Before that, they could maintain fire when they had it, but creating it on demand was extremely unreliable. Imagine living through the Ice Age with flickering fire that could disappear for weeks during storms or resource scarcity. Every winter became a life-or-death gamble, unless you developed perfect alternatives. And that's exactly what they did. Neanderthals became the first chemical engineers. At multiple French sites, they collected manganese dioxide, not for cave paintings, but for a more practical purpose. It lowers wood's ignition temperature by 360 degrees, 200 degrees, turning impossible fire starting into possible. Some sites show they traveled 40 kilometers in freezing conditions to obtain this precious material, a 3-day journey just to bring back a Stone Age lighter. When fire was available, they maximized its potential with sophisticated thermal engineering. At Abric Romani, Spain, 8 evenly spaced hearths arranged along rock walls created optimal convection currents that circulated heat evenly throughout the space while ensuring perfect smoke ventilation, according to University of Reading Computer Modeling 2025. At Roc Cave, Israel, dense hearth concentrations created specialized thermal zones, warm sleeping areas, concentrated cooking spaces, and work areas designed around heat flow patterns. But when fire wasn't available during extreme storms, or before they perfected firemaking, their alternative technologies had to be perfect, or they died. Picture the scene at Pech de Laze, 45,000 BC. A Neanderthal mother teaches her granddaughter to tan leather using a polished bone tool. Outside, the cold could kill within minutes. Inside, without fire, they work by touch and muscle memory. The child's fingers learn movements that wouldn't be documented for another 150 years. This is how civilization truly begins. One mother, one child, one skill, meaning survival. The tools they used? Archaeologists found them perfectly preserved. Lissoir, polishing tools, identical to those used today by Hermès and Louis Vuitton for waterproofing luxury leather. Neanderthals invented them 10,000 years before modern humans set foot in Europe. This wasn't just survival, this was genuine civilization. But how could they develop such complex techniques? Imagine, from simple stone tools to sophisticated leatherworking, they conducted a technological revolution in the darkness of the Ice Age. At Neumark Nord, Germany, 200,000-year-old stone scrapers still contain oak bark tannin traces, the oldest evidence of chemical hide processing by any human species. This tanning process transforms protein structures, creating flexible, waterproof leather that retains insulation even when wet. Without this chemical technology, animal hides would freeze solid in winter. Think about that. They didn't just use animal skins, they transformed them at the molecular level. The fiber revolution progressed simultaneously. At Abri du Marais, France, archaeologists discovered 50,000-year-old 3-ply cord made from inner bark fibers, each strand twisted precisely at 30 degrees for maximum strength, an astonishingly precise engineering calculation. Although they lacked eyed needles, they used bone awls and twisted fiber thread to create multi-layered garments with multiple repairs. Every stitch testifies to their dexterity and material understanding. But the true breakthrough in scale was discovered at Neumark Nord. An image from 125,000 years ago emerges. Dozens of Neanderthals working in coordinated groups beside a lake in central Germany. They weren't hunting, they were running a factory. The 2024 discovery revealed an industrial operation, processing over 172 elephants and rhinos across multiple seasons. The shocking part, they weren't primarily after meat. They were pursuing fat. Specialized production lines sorted bones by fat content, systematically crushed long bones to extract marrow, then processed fragments again to render out every last drop of grease. The fat from one mammoth could waterproof an entire family's winter wardrobe. Cut marks show standardized techniques. Bone fragments cluster in processing areas separate from living spaces. The extracted grease became the Swiss Army knife of prehistoric technology, mixed with hide fibers for waterproof fabric, combined with ochre for sunscreen, applied to stone tools to prevent frozen hands, and stored as emergency food, providing 9 calories per gram. This single site operated 100,000 years before any comparable modern human facility, revealing something profound. Neanderthals understood industrial-scale planning and resource management at levels we've only recently rediscovered. But technology is only half the story. The rest lies within their very bodies. Neanderthal anatomy reveals purpose-built adaptations for Ice Age survival that perfectly complement their technological innovations. Start with the nose. CT scans reveal nasal passages 29% larger than ours, with internal turbinates arranged like heat exchangers. Freezing air would spiral through these passages, warming from blood vessel contact until it reached their lungs at body temperature. While modern human noses evolved for maximum thermal efficiency, recovering 90 to 95% of heat energy, Neanderthal noses were engineered as high-performance air movers. Their barrel-shaped rib cage provided 50 liters of airflow per minute, nearly double our 27 liters. This massive respiratory system powered a metabolic furnace burning 5,000 to 7,000 calories daily in winter. They needed that extraordinary respiratory capacity to fuel their Ice Age metabolism. The stocky build, perfect thermal engineering, shorter limbs, reduced surface area, broader torsos maintain core temperature. Mathematical modeling shows 20% better heat retention than modern humans. Isotope analysis shows they maintain these metabolic rates year-round, permanently set to Arctic survival mode, generating internal heat equivalent to a continuous 40-watt heating system. Combine this biological heating system with waterproof, insulated clothing and underground shelters, and suddenly fire transforms from necessity to luxury. Without reliable fire, every architectural decision became life or death. And Neanderthals made those decisions with stunning consistency across their entire range. But were technology and anatomy enough to explain their 400,000-year success? There's another crucial factor, one that made them true survival masters. There's one crucial factor that technology and anatomy alone can't explain: social intelligence. This is the final secret behind the Neanderthals' 400,000-year Earth domination, revealed through discoveries that have left scientists astonished. Consider the evidence at La Ferracie, where a Neanderthal child with severe congenital disabilities lived to age 3. In harsh Ice Age conditions, this would have been impossible unless the child received continuous care from the entire community. At Shanidar, an elderly male with a withered arm and blindness in one eye survived for years after his injuries, supported by his cavemates through brutal winters. These weren't brutal savages. They were families, communities who refused to leave anyone behind. This care extended beyond the living. Graves found throughout Europe show complex burial rituals. At Shanidar, archaeologists discovered carefully arranged flower bundles surrounding remains, the oldest evidence of floral tributes and funeral practices. They didn't just survive, they loved, they grieved, they honored both life and death. So why did they disappear? The answer lies not in inferiority, but in a combination of environmental tragedy and demography. Around 39,000 years ago, during marine isotope stage 3, the climate became catastrophically unstable. Seasonal patterns that had remained consistent for millennia suddenly shifted every few years. Resources Neanderthals had relied on for hundreds of thousands of years vanished unpredictably. Genetic analysis reveals their effective population was always small, perhaps just 5,000 to 70,000 individuals scattered across Eurasia. When modern humans arrived, they brought populations 10 times larger. When extreme climate chaos struck, larger populations had better survival odds due to demographic resilience, not superior technology. But here's the truth that makes us reconsider everything. When modern humans encountered Neanderthals, our archaeological record suddenly shows nearly identical technologies appearing in our sites. The lissoir technology, the systematic use of manganese dioxide, specific hafting techniques. We didn't replace Neanderthals through superiority, we learned from them. Before considering what was lost, remember what they achieved. At El Cedron Cave, genetic evidence reveals a Neanderthal mother, an infant who died together. Isotope analysis shows the child was well nourished until the very end. Even facing starvation, she prioritized her baby's survival. The clothing fragments found with them show multiple repairs. She mended their gear even as food ran out. 400,000 winters, no electricity, no metal. Fire that came and went like the seasons. They survived longer than our entire species has existed. Fire wasn't their greatest invention. Their greatest invention was refusing to accept impossibility. And somewhere in the 2 to 4% of Neanderthal genes most of us carry, that invention lives on. They didn't vanish, they merged with us, becoming part of humanity's enduring legacy. If this story changes how you see human history, share it. Subscribe to Historical Truth to join us in uncovering history's greatest mysteries, because understanding them means understanding the lost part of ourselves. See you in our next exploration.